Getting a 3D printer is super fun, but then you realize you have to put your printer somewhere, and printers are heavy and they can move a lot. So finding a stand that can withstand everything a printer needs can be sometimes trickier than you might expect. And over the years, I found a few different types of outstanding stands that work really great for 3D printers, so I wanted to share them with you, starting with these ones here, which are probably the ones I get asked about the most. These are just 5-drawer tool chests. This happens to be a Craftsman brand chest from Lowe's. It had a little Craftsman logo here, but I took it off and then there were holes, and so I put a GoPro sticker over it. But these are Craftsman. You can get them at Lowe's. I've had these specific ones for about 4 years, and I actually originally got them for my camera gear. So they're filled with like audio gear, cameras, microphones, that kind of stuff. But they would be pretty ideal for 3D printing because, as you can kind of see back here, they have 5 drawers of different depths. The shallow drawers are only about 3 inches deep, but then the deeper ones down there are about 6 inches deep. So that means these can be great for storing parts and accessories and tools and even rolls of filament in those deeper drawers. And the tops of these are 18 by 26, right? 18 by 26, yeah. So great for something like a P2S, X2D, P1S, smaller, bed slinging printers like the A1, the A1 Mini, or other similar printers from other brands. But you're not gonna put like a large format printer. Even this, the A2L back here is a little bit of movie magic. This is just for show for this video. The printer base itself hangs off the edge, but because this is also a bed slinging printer, it needs more clearance in the back. It's really not super practical for one of these. So, a mid-size Core XY or smaller printer is kind of what's perfect for these. Now, these types of tool chests are pretty common. I got these ones at Lowe's, but you can get them at Harbor Freight, Home Depot, under different brand names and stuff. What I really like is usually each store has different versions. They have like a standard duty and a heavy duty. And if you get the heavy duty ones, they usually then just are better quality, but then they include soft close on the drawers, which just is a really nice feature. Something I will point out though is that I do think Home Depot's Husky tool chests are a little bit better quality. These kind of range in price from $200 to $300 depending on where you get them. But if you get the heavy duty Husky one from Home Depot, it's just as sturdy as this, but the drawers are significantly higher quality, same with the soft close mechanism. These ones, these smaller ones that I have, these two, they worked fine, but this bigger chest that I have back here, it has a really wide drawer on the front. And really soon after I got it, the soft close thing on one side broke. So that drawer is like, it has just been so frustrating to use for most of the time that I've had the tool chest. And the Husky ones are just like, they feel so much more solid and just a lot better. But these do, when you buy them, they come with handles on the side. I just don't have the handles because I like to be able to kind of put them up against things. So that is just something to be aware of. They also come with casters, but you don't have to use those. So if you just want to put this straight on the ground and have it be extra solid, or you don't plan to ever move it, you can just put it directly on the ground, which also does make it a little bit shorter. I ended up though actually buying aftermarket casters. So you can kind of see down here, they're a little bit bigger and beefier and, I don't know, color matching, which I like, for the red chests here. So I like being able to move things around and make them, kind of portable, which just worked really well. I just had these, and when I got my P2S, it just kind of became a natural fit, especially now that I have a couple other printers and the P2S kind of lives in here. The only downside with the Home Depot version of this is that sometimes it's hard to find the heavy duty version by itself. It's often sold with like a top tool chest, which I have, and that's what I got when I got mine. I just split them apart. But that makes it a little more expensive, and I don't know how often they sell just the heavy duty, like bottom part of the tool chest. But wherever you get them, Home Depot, Lowe's, Harbor Freight, whatever, they usually don't come with these wood tops. It's something you can buy extra, but most of the stores sell them for, I don't know, $20 to $30. And these are just great work surfaces, but they fit perfectly on these chests. You wouldn't have to use this if you don't want to, because there's a little soft touch pad on here, but I don't know. I just feel like it's more practical and it kind of completes the look. So grab the tool chest and then a wood top and you're gonna be good to go. And even though I said the Craftsman one from Lowe's isn't quite as high quality as like the Home Depot one is, one feature that it has that the other ones don't have is pegboard holes on the side. So especially for 3D printing, that makes it super easy to hang, accessories and parts and tools and all the stuff that you kind of use really often. So it's very easy when it comes to 3D printing to grab one of these and make it kind of like an all-in-one printer station. They are very sturdy. The printer is going to move because 3D printers move. There, you can kind of see like how it wobbles. This might be what it looks like when I'm doing like the most extreme version of some kind of fast print. Important to note though, at least with Bamboo printers, is that they do have built-in like shock absorbing feet. So sometimes you'll notice the printer's going crazy because it's moving, but then if you look at the tool chest, it's not moving nearly as much. So just because you see the printer shaking a lot doesn't mean that that's fully transferring to the surface that it's on. It's hard to find things more stable than this other than like the surface of the earth itself. So that little bit of movement has never been a problem. And I think, at least my thinking with Bamboo is, since you have, you know, the tool head moving in the printer and it's shifting weight around often, instead of trying to fight that, they basically just kind of let the printer sort of cushion it and kind of went with the motion, which then, you know, I don't know, seems to help things work better. I've had zero issues with any kind of movement, and there's no way this printer is gonna move enough to like cause any problems here or move this or cause this to like become unstable or anything. Not a chance. It just kind of wiggles a little bit, but it's no big deal. And as we're talking about tool chests and things, I do want to give an honorary mention to just a good old workbench. This is my desk that I've had for the past like 10 or 11 years, but it's actually just a Husky workbench from Home Depot. It's 2 feet deep by 6 feet wide, and that's pretty big. I think they make them in a few other sizes as well. Obviously, I'm not using mine for printing right now, but it has been my main desk for a long time. My wife has one of these in her office as her desk, and we have a couple in our garage, which I have used for 3D printers in the past. If you have the space for this, or you just want more space for your printer, these are really good options because they can easily accommodate, you know, a couple different printers, or a printer and an AMS, or if you want like your printer on one side and then kind of like a tool, finishing, painting, workshop area on the other side. They work really well. I'm a huge fan of using workbenches and tool chests for 3D printers because they're designed to support a lot of weight. That's the whole point, right? Like they know if a company makes a workbench, they know it's supposed to have heavy things put on it. You're probably gonna be hammering and moving, and like they're designed to absorb all that. So when you put a 3D printer on it, you don't have any problems at all. And these ones, when you get them, they actually come with 3 cross supports that I don't have on here, one in the front, one in the back, and one in the back on the bottom. And those actually make it even more stable. I took those off to make it a little more practical to use as a desk, so my feet didn't hit the thing in the back, and so it's easier to clamp like monitor and mic arms and stuff onto the surface here. But even this, with those 3 crossbars removed, is still super stable. I stand on this probably more often than I like to admit to reach stuff in the ceiling. No issues there. Even as like this could support a couple of heavy duty 3D printers with no problem. But when you have those 3 additional cross supports on there, it like you could put, there's no way any 3D printer would ever cause any issues with something like this. So if you want a little more space and you have a little more space, using a full-on workbench could work. The only real downside to that is that they don't have any drawers. So if you're hoping to use drawers for organization, a little bit of drawer organization, this probably isn't the best option. And while I did mention some quality issues with this larger bench, this type of thing is fairly common. This, you know, it's a little bit bigger than just the other wheeled ones. This does have wheels, but what a lot of these have are their own power supplies. So this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 6 outlets plus 2 USBs. So depending on your printing setup, getting like a mid-size thing like this could be a cool option. This is also just a Craftsman one, but based on the way this works, sometimes I might call it a Craftsman one. But it also has the holes in the side. If you want to do mounts, I have the handle on here. And this is, again, full of camera gear, but it could be pretty ideal for 3D printing gear. And having the plugs is really nice if you're going to have a couple of printers or other parts, accessories, you want to connect, you know, a few AMS power units. Being able to do that all here, and then there's just one cable that goes from the tool chest to the wall outlet, just kind of saves space and keeps things a bit more organized. And you might have seen me talk about these in other videos, but I want to share a little bit more about these less conventional printer stands that I'm using in what is like our den, our guest bedroom. Nobody sleeps in here when the printers are running, don't worry. But when I got my P2S and then additional printers and kind of realized this was the space that they needed to go in, I actually didn't want tool chests or workbenches because I kind of didn't want like that industrial workshop look. You know, I kind of have that in my office. We have that in a garage. I wanted this to still be a comfortable room, even though there's like 3D printers and stuff in here. So the first thing I got for what was originally the P2S and now the X2D is just this mid-century coffee table off Amazon. And I really like this. It was not very expensive. It was about $130. And it's surprisingly sturdy. And it works so well for printers. It's rated to hold, I forget what it is, 78 pounds or something. So something like an X2D P2S with AMS has no problem supporting this at all. I did have the H2C on here for a while, and that still had no problems. Although what I would recommend if you're gonna have two printers or a heavier printer on here is it comes with the 4 standard table legs, but I bought an additional support and just put that in the middle. And now it's extra sturdy. I don't think it's gonna have any problem. I'm sure the H2C would be fine on here, but I kind of don't want to push my luck. What I really like about this is that it's low. So I do have to kind of like be on the ground a lot. Not ideal if you have like joint problems or mobility issues. But if you don't mind that, it's kind of nice because, you know, the printers with the AMS units can start to get pretty tall and they can sort of dominate a space. And if you don't want the space to just be like taken over by 3D printers, like when they're on those tool chests and they have an AMS on top, they can be like as tall as I am. They can be, you know, kind of big in the room compared to your other furniture. So having something low, I don't know, kind of makes it a little friendlier and feels a little more accessible. So I liked that a lot. Having something long is really nice because then you have room for, you know, other things besides just the printer. And what I like about this one is it has this cubby here goes all the way through to the back, and it's kind of perfect for filament. And then in the back, I just have like boxes of extra filament there. So this is great. And it has a little door that moves over here, and there's a cubby with some other tools and parts. And then there's the same compartment on the back. So it's a little harder to get to when I have the table up against a wall like this. So I kind of keep like the stuff that I rarely ever use, like extra PTFE tubes and stuff like that, back there, because that's kind of in case of emergency. I need those things, not the stuff I'm getting every day. But this has been a very nice, you know, non-workshop looking printer stand that is super sturdy and I've had zero problems with, even when I've exceeded the recommended weight limit. But speaking of weight limits, that then brings me over here to the H2C and the stand that I got for this, which I've also gotten a lot of questions about this specific stand as well. The H2C is significantly heavier than the other printers, so it needed a sturdy stand, and it's also a bigger printer. So if I did have something that was already, you know, 4 feet tall and then I put this on it, it would just be like this monstrosity. So what I found is this is a printer stand intended for like office printers, so like big copier, fax machine kind of things. It's a 24 by 24 square. So this is, you know, the H2C, the largest printer that Bamboo makes. And it's got, you know, several inches on either side. So it's plenty big and plenty supportive for this. It also has a cool metal frame. So the top is just like MDF, but it has a metal frame with several cross supports that make it really sturdy. I think the rated weight is like 180 pounds or something. It's way more than the printer is. There's a small shelf on the bottom, which I use for a couple, you know, overflow accessories, and it does have casters here. So my original plan when I got this was, because the H2C is so big, there's no room for it in my office, but I could put it in here, and then when I wanted to, if I needed to make videos with it or something, I could just wheel this, you know, down the hall into my office, which I have done a few times and it works great, but I've also started just filming videos in here and it works great with no issues. This is cool because it is designed for not a 3D printer, but a printer. And if you think of like an office machine, like a fax machine, copier, those things, you know, they move a lot. They are super heavy and big and bulky. And so even something like the H2C, which is, you know, Bamboo's like biggest or one of their biggest printers, it's no problem for a stand like this. And it keeps things nice and low profile, nice and manageable. These you can kind of see through here if I tilt it. It's basically puts the H2C at the same height as the X2D. So, you know, it keeps things, it doesn't feel like you're just overwhelmed with printers and things when you walk in here, which is, I just didn't want that. So these have worked really well for me. And of course, in addition to all these, there are like dedicated printer stands, like BQ makes some, and I've seen some on Amazon. And some of them seem great, and I feel like based on the reviews I've read, those also seem cool. None of the stands I have are really specially made for 3D printers. I'm just utilizing them that way. And some of the dedicated printer stands, especially the cheaper ones, do seem kind of flimsy. I don't know that I would really want to put like a heavier duty printer on there and they could rattle apart. And then other ones like the BQ ones look awesome, but can also be pretty expensive. Like it seems like they can kind of go, you know, $400 or $500 more than the tool chest here. So, you know, these are the kinds of things that you sort of have forever once you get them. And so much so that they've become the place I'm comfortable putting all my stickers that I've had for years, where I'm like, oh no, I don't want to put this on something that I'm going to throw away. Well, a heavy duty tool chest or workbench is a great place for that because they're sturdy enough to basically last forever.